Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Pulse podcast where we ask pulse raising questions about all things Christian related. My name is Raphael and I'm part of our God given mission social media team, and today I'm with MT Omini. Today we're asking the question, how do we interact with the Old Testament? When we read stories about David and Goliath, are we supposed to see ourselves in the place of David? Do we have a personal Goliath we have to defeat? Or is there a correct way that we are supposed to interact with the Old Testament?
This is such a fascinating question. I'm sure you may, or some people listening may remember the sermon by Matt Chandler that when he talks about, you're not Goliath or whatever it is, right? Really, really interesting. And what he was doing there, and I think it's a very helpful sermon actually, because he talks a bit about how we should think about some of the stories in the Old Testament. Modern Christians, and I say modern really to mean my age, not my age, I don't want to age myself, just young millennial Gen Z Christians tend to do that thing of, I love the New Testament, and we don't really know what to do with the Old Testament. It's like it's there, but it's like the cousin you don't really speak to, but they come to family gatherings and you're kind of like, you're right, and they're like, yeah, I'm fine. You're like, yeah, good. It's we have an awkward relationship with it, not least because there's stories in there that maybe for modern sensibilities are scary, but also because if it's about Jesus, we kind of go, well, why do I need to know about judges and prophets? Like, it's a bit useless, And that's where I really would encourage people to do some research, right, and to consider all the exciting things that God was trying to do with the Old Testament that we miss out on when we read it as an old school book that's not interesting. The truth of the matter is the Bible was written by one author, which is the Holy Spirit. And so there's this unified story he's telling, and he's using human history to tell the story. Yeah. So in the Old Testament, it's the first longer part of the Christian Bible. Some Jews and equally some Muslims also trace back some history to the Old Testament for the most part. But for the most part, it's us that kind of treat it as almost codependent with the New Testament, right? I started a campaign years ago that failed. Which is to get people to start saying First and Second Testament rather than Old and New, because who wants to read the Old? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You want to read the new season, new song, new book. You go, if I go, here's an old season, you don't go, can't wait to get into it. So I think the people branded maybe missed the trick with that. They should have said First Testament, Second Testament. So you think, oh God, I got to read both. But anyways, what God's doing, and I don't know how much time we have, because there's a whole, we can really unpack this. But in short, what God's doing really with the Old Testament is infusing himself into human history to show our total and utter need for him. Yeah. He shows us just how we fail and fail and fail when we seek to put something else in his place, when we seek to worship something else, when we seek to cherish something else, when we seek to love something else. That's what he shows us. So we see the failures of kings, we see the failures of prophets, we see the failures of priests. And in every single situation, God is showing us through the Old Testament that we need a better king, we need a better prophet, we need a better priest. And that comes in the peroration in the New Testament when we meet Jesus. So the Old Testament is where we really learn about how dark the human mind can get, how easily corruptible it is to power, what happens when people get what they wanted and then, very quickly they start complaining again. It really shows us human nature. The Old Testament is like a mirror being held up to your face and said, this is who you are, mate. Right? So when you read it, of course you can, take a look at certain scriptures and take certain characters or people and seek to kind of emulate something. So sometimes I remember being young, we'd always be like Daniel. Like Daniel was daring, be like Daniel. That's not a heresy to say, but I don't want to be all like Daniel because for a number of different reasons. But equally like David, the man after God's heart, as we say. People that be like David. Yeah, there are certain parts of David's life that are worth emulating, right? This was a man who wrote a lot of the Psalms, someone who was deeply reflective and had a wonderful relationship with God of openness, transparency. But he also had someone killed. So I don't think I want to emulate that part, right? So there are character lessons to learn. But the truth is, in the Old Testament, there are lots of minor roads. And these minor roads all connect and connect into it. Do you drive? I don't think you drive. I hope that wasn't triggering for you.
No.
There are lots of minor roads, and these minor roads all connect. But the minor roads are only interesting in as much as they connect you to the major road. So all these minor roads have interest in stories, interest in revelations, interest in proverbs, interest in psalms. But ultimately, they all lead into the major road. And what's the major road? Jesus arrives in the scene. The biggest, glaring, obvious sign of God's love and God's patience and God's justice and God's forbearance that we can never know. That's the whole point of it. The Bible, Paul says that it's the power of God unto salvation. That this bridging of the gap between man and God. That's what Jesus came to do. And so ultimately, that's the major road. Is what God is doing, how he's restoring us to himself through Jesus. The minor roads are these stories of human failures and human accomplishment that God uses to kind of tell a bigger story. And so that's how I would see the First Testament. When you see it that way, I find it's more exciting. You're kind of like, oh, I wonder what happened with Esther. I wonder, like, you're just, it's just fascinating to see how, and here's one thing I also do. Sometimes I read stories and I just think, okay, if David lived like in the Second Testament, how would his life have been different? And that just makes my Bible reading so much more fun. I'll read that and be like, but imagine if Jesus was alive. I'm working out how and so it's so fun and so interesting that simply going, I'm David and like Goliath is my problems. I need to kill my problems. It's such I don't want to be rude, but a quite shallow, simple way to look at what are meant to be rich scriptures that show you about human depravity and the capacity and space in all our lives for God to come and move in a mighty way.
Can I ask you a question, Mac?
No.
No questions at all. I'm going to ask either way. What is your favorite Old Testament story and why?
Old Testament story?
Yeah.
Gosh, my favorite.
Oh, okay, at least one of your favorites.
My favorite psalm is Psalm 75. 75 or 73? 75. Is it 75? A Psalm of Asaph. That's my favorite psalm. I think it's 70. I always get confused between 73 and 75. But that's my favorite psalm. I love Psalm 91.
That's a good one.
And Psalms 23, of course. I actually tweeted Psalm 91 randomly, and like 5 people liked it, and I thought, thanks, guys. Because what I've been doing recently, this is not part of the post, right? I was struggling to sleep 2 days ago, so I typed in Psalm 91, someone reading it. So I started playing on my iPad, and I discovered there's a whole world of people just reading scripture with like rain behind it. You can do that on the back. I had no clue. So like I ended up listening to one, but here's what's foolish about it. So I played one that was like 5 hours of Psalms. I was like, all right, I couldn't sleep. I kept on listening. I was like, this is so lovely, but so it wasn't helping me sleep anymore. It became something else. But yeah, so that's not even a story. These are just Psalms. My favorite story, I guess. Gosh, I'll just pick one because of time. I really like. It's much easier if you give me someone in the Bible and tell me in their life what story.
Samson.
Come on. I liked the end. I like him going out with a bang.
It's a very different ending. It's a very.
But with Samson, there's lots and lots of similarities between him and again, human nature. Sometimes we are sometimes we endure toxic relationships when we know that they're destroying us even as we engage with them, because we all have a self-destructive tendency. It's the same thing that happened to Jonah, right? When rather than speak to God, Jonah chose suicide and chucked himself off a boat rather than deal with God. Bear in mind, Jonah was a prophet. So as a prophet, God speaks to him. He's like, I don't want to talk to you. He's like, but you're a prophet. This is so weird. And so he presses his suicide, his spiritual detonation button. And that's the same thing with Samson. He's literally lying with the very person that would be his undoing. I think he was aware. I mean, there was definitely several clues. But yeah, it's like I enjoy the toxicity more than the danger I know. And how many times have we made decisions where this text to this person should not be sent, or this message should not be sent, or I should not be meeting this person, but we still do it, even though we know it's not good for us. so much depth there. But it just shows you it's like a mirror. I read Samson's story and people are like, oh, you're so dumb. Why didn't you know? I remember teaching a youth church once, and they were like this guy's gonna finish him. Like, you should know this. And I said, this is human history, folks. Many men have lost their minds when it comes to a lovely lady with long hair, right? So, yeah, that's that.
No, I love that, because even it goes back to what you were saying before. When you look at the end of Samson's story, how does it end? It ends with him saying, do you know what? I messed up, and God, the only way I can get out of this situation, or the only way this situation ends perfectly, is with you involved. So please take control.
God strengthens them. Yeah, absolutely.
So no, that's beautiful. But thank you for that, and thank you guys for listening and watching. We hope you enjoy that. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share, all of that, and we hope to see you again on another episode of the Pulse Podcast.